Thank you for watching. Subscribe on Betrayed Man's Diary for more stories. My name's Ryan, and I'm a dad, at least, that's what I always thought. I have 3 little girls, Ava, who just turned 5, Sophie, our energetic 3-year-old, and Emma, the sweet baby who's learning to walk. For years, I believed I was the luckiest man alive. A beautiful wife, a cozy home, 3 daughters who lit up every room they entered. But all that started to crack when a single thought, just a whisper, really, started to claw at my mind. Ava didn't look like me. At first, I chalked it up to chance. You know, genetics can be weird. Sometimes kids take after a distant uncle or a great-grandparent. But the more I looked at her, the more I noticed, there was nothing in her face that felt like mine. Not just, oh, she got her mom's nose, kind of different. No. It was like she belonged to another family altogether. Meanwhile, Sophie and Emma? Clear as day. My eyes, my smile, even my ridiculous cowlick that shows up no matter how much gel I use. No one questioned that they were mine. People even joked that Sophie was my mini-me. But Ava? Not once did someone say, wow, she looks like her daddy. Never. I brought it up to my wife, Megan. She brushed it off with a laugh that didn't quite reach her eyes. She just takes after me, she said. And besides, my grandpa had the same kind of nose. That's probably it. But it wasn't just her nose. It was her eyes. Her skin tone. Her entire bone structure. None of it made sense, not when you lined up the photos of our parents and grandparents. I even compared baby pictures. Megan's family is Irish and Italian. Mine's mostly German. Ava? She had this soft, warm complexion, almost like someone from a completely different ethnic background. That whisper in my mind grew louder. Still, for months, I tried to ignore it. What kind of father doubts his own child? What kind of man sneaks around, ordering a DNA test behind his wife's back? I told myself that I was being paranoid. That my love for Ava had nothing to do with biology. But then came the day when I couldn't quiet that voice anymore. It was eating me alive. So one afternoon while Megan was out running errands, and the kids were napping, I swabbed Ava's mouth. I felt like a monster doing it, like I was betraying her just by collecting a sample. I waited 2 weeks for the results. Those were the longest days of my life. I didn't sleep. Every time Ava hugged me or called me Daddy, I felt like I was falling apart inside. I hated myself for what I was doing, but I had to know. I needed the truth. The email came in while I was at work. I locked my office door and clicked the link. 0% chance of paternity. I read it twice. Then a 3rd time. I thought maybe I misunderstood what that number meant. But there was no mistake. The test couldn't have been more clear. Biologically, Ava wasn't mine. My chest collapsed. That's the only way I can describe it. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't even cry, my body just shut down. I stared at the screen for God knows how long, completely numb. But I still didn't want to believe it. Denial's a hell of a drug. I convinced myself it could have been a lab error. Maybe the sample got mixed up. Maybe they tested the wrong child. I didn't want to explode my life over a maybe. So I ordered a second test, from a different company. I told myself this was just to clear the air once and for all. That it would give me peace. It didn't. 0% chance of paternity. Again. That second result shattered whatever hope I had left. It wasn't a fluke. It wasn't a mistake. Ava wasn't my daughter, not by blood. But she was my daughter. She was. I changed her diapers. Stayed up through colic-ridden nights. Taught her how to say, Daddy. I was the first person she called for when she scraped her knee or had a nightmare. I was the one who made her pancakes shaped like teddy bears every Sunday morning. I was the one she trusted with her whole heart. And I loved her with mine. I cried that night. Hard. Not just because of what I found out, but because I knew things would never be the same. I hadn't even confronted Megan yet. I wasn't ready. I didn't know what I was going to say. How do you even start that conversation? Hey babe, I just found out our daughter isn't mine. Anything you want to share? No. I couldn't do it yet. I needed time. But I needed answers too. So I did something that probably makes me sound like an absolute maniac. I tested the other two. If I was going to dig this deep into hell, I needed to know if I had solid ground to stand on anywhere. So I swabbed Sophie and Emma when Megan took them to the park the following weekend. I hated myself all over again. Their results came back a week later. Both girls are mine. 99.99% probability. The relief I felt was immediate, and yet hollow. Because even though two of my children were undeniably mine, the one who made me a father wasn't. That night, I sat on the couch while the kids slept upstairs. Megan was in the kitchen making tea, humming like everything was normal. And I remember thinking, how long have you been lying to me? That's when I knew, I couldn't keep this inside much longer. The night I finally confronted Megan is seared into my memory like a scar. I waited until the kids were asleep, their little feet finally still upstairs, and the soft hum of the baby monitor buzzed from the corner of the living room. I asked her to sit down. No TV. No distractions. Just us. The air was thick with something I couldn't quite describe, maybe dread, maybe grief. She sat across from me on the couch, clutching her mug of chamomile tea, eyes wary. I need to talk to you, I said. Her shoulders stiffened. Megan. I had Ava tested. She froze. The silence that followed was unbearable. I don't know what I expected, shock, denial, an explosion. But what I got was a quiet, trembling whisper. What do you mean, tested? A paternity test, I said, my voice hollow. 2, actually. She's not mine. Her face went pale. Her mouth parted, but nothing came out at first. Then she began shaking her head, over and over, like she could will it away. No, Ryan, no. That can't be right. You must have done it wrong. You must have made a mistake. I stared at her. I didn't make a mistake. 2 separate tests. Both said the same thing. Ava isn't biologically mine. So please, Megan. Just tell me the truth. She started crying, soft, then harder. But even through the sobs, she kept insisting that it couldn't be. That it didn't make sense. That maybe the hospital switched babies, or maybe something went wrong in the lab. I let her spin those lies for about 5 minutes. And then I said her name, quietly but firmly. Megan. She stopped. Met my eyes for the first time. I need to know. Did you cheat on me? The pause was the loudest thing in the room. And then, finally, her shoulders dropped. Her whole body seemed to cave inward like she was deflating. Yes, she whispered. And just like that, the foundation of our entire relationship crumbled. It started before we even got married, before the kids, before the house, before the future we built brick by brick. Back when we were studying abroad in Barcelona, 2 young kids who thought they had the whole world ahead of them. That's where we met, in a coffee shop near the university. She was bright, beautiful, and full of this unfiltered energy that made everything feel possible. I fell hard. We were inseparable for that semester. And when we both returned to the States, we didn't let go of each other. Long distance turned into short visits turned into moving in together. And eventually, marriage. And now she tells me, years later, that one night in Spain, she got drunk at a party and slept with someone else. Some random guy she barely remembered. I was stupid, she sobbed. We weren't even that serious yet. It was early on. We weren't exclusive, not officially. We were exclusive, I said through clenched teeth. We had that conversation. We agreed. I know, she said, I know. I was drunk. It didn't mean anything. It was just that one time. My hands were shaking. Did you use protection? She didn't answer. I stood up, ran my hands through my hair, and just paced. The image of Ava as a baby, sleeping on my chest, the way I used to stare at her in awe, thinking she was this perfect blend of me and Megan, it all came crashing down. I felt like I'd been living in a painting someone else had forged. And because I needed to know just how deep this lie went, I did what any devastated man would do, I found the guy. Social media makes it easy. She told me his name, and I tracked him down on Facebook. He looked like some laid-back backpacker type. His profile was filled with surfboards and hostile selfies. I messaged him and told him I had some questions about Barcelona, about a party. At first, he didn't remember her. That somehow made it worse. Oh yeah, he finally said after I showed him a photo. I think we hooked up once. It was at this rooftop thing. I was pretty hammered. He confirmed it was a one-time thing. No names exchanged. No contact afterward. Just drunken bodies in the dark. He didn't even remember her name. That's the man who fathered the child I raised for 5 years. And you know what's cruel? I wasn't even mad at him. He didn't know. He didn't pretend to love her. He didn't raise her. He wasn't the one reading bedtime stories, kissing scrapes, or dancing in the kitchen to Taylor Swift just to make her laugh. That was me. But Megan? She chose this. She made a decision that day to bury the truth and start a family with me. She looked me in the eye, wore a white dress, said vows, and built a life knowing full well that the beginning was a lie. She tried to justify it, of course. I didn't know I was pregnant until later. And by then, we were already getting serious. I thought she could be yours. I didn't want to destroy us. I asked her when she first suspected Ava wasn't mine. She cried harder. The moment she was born, she admitted. But I couldn't admit it to myself. I loved you. I loved her. And I thought if I just ignored it, it would all go away. It didn't. I looked at her, this woman I thought I knew better than anyone else in the world, and realized I didn't know her at all. It's been months now, since October, when the truth hit me like a sledgehammer to the chest, and I still haven't made peace with it. If anything, the wound just sits there, open and raw, refusing to scab over. Most days, I feel like I'm going through the motions. Wake up, pack lunches, kiss the girls on their heads, go to work, come home, read bedtime stories. Smile. Pretend. But underneath it all, I'm empty. Hollowed out by betrayal. Since I found out about Ava's paternity, I've been sad more days than not. I try to be strong, because that's what dads are supposed to do, right? Be the oak tree, the unshakable presence, the calm in the storm. But the truth is, I've lost something I'm not sure I'll ever get back. I've lost the love I had for Megan. Whatever I felt for her, whatever fire used to burn in my chest when she walked into a room, it's gone. Completely. And I've tried. God knows I've tried. I've stared at her sleeping beside me and whispered to myself, you used to love this woman. I've tried to find pieces of that love in her laugh, in the way she cares for the kids, in old photos and anniversary cards. But the connection is severed. It's not that I hate her. I don't even feel angry anymore. Just, nothing. And yet, I haven't left. I'm still here. Because no matter what she did to me, I do love my kids. All 3 of them, with everything I've got. And that includes Ava. I may not have given her my DNA, but she has my heart. She's my daughter in every way that counts. I was there before she could even speak, before she took her first steps. I was the one who taught her how to ride a bike. I braided her hair the first time it tangled too much for Megan to fix. I've been her safe place. And I always will be. So I made a decision that not everyone will understand. I chose to stay. Not for Megan. Not for appearances. But for the girls. Megan and I talked it through. There were no screaming matches, no ultimatums. Just a long, quiet conversation in the kitchen one night after the kids were asleep. We both knew our marriage, in the traditional sense, was over. But we also knew that tearing our home apart would only cause more pain, especially for Ava, who already has a truth about her origin that she'll eventually have to face. We agreed on a new kind of partnership. Not romantic. Not intimate. Just two people raising children under the same roof, holding on to a version of peace for their sake. We don't fight. Honestly, we never really did, even before the truth came out. That's part of what made this all so surreal. We seemed happy. And in a way, we still project that. We laugh at dinner, we cheer at soccer games, we do birthday parties and Sunday pancakes like any other family. The girls don't see tension. They don't see cold shoulders or harsh words. We give them warmth and stability, even if it's built on a broken foundation. To the outside world, we probably look like the picture-perfect family. And I let them think that. Because what's the alternative? Watching my girls bounce between two homes. Trying to co-parent through court dates and custody battles. Letting insurance and visitation rights dictate how we raise them. I couldn't do that. Not to them. So we made our peace. Part of that agreement included not divorcing, at least not now. Megan stays on my health insurance, which helps with the kids' coverage, and we maintain a single household so their lives aren't disrupted. It's not easy. Some nights, I lie awake staring at the ceiling, wondering if I'll ever be able to open my heart to someone again. If I'll ever trust that deeply. If I'll ever feel wanted in a way that's safe. But other nights, I hear Ava giggling in her sleep, or Emma calling out for Dada, and I remember why I'm still here. Why I'm choosing this pain. Because for all the love I lost, I still have 3 reasons to keep going. Some days I wake up and forget, just for a second, that my life is divided into before and after. But then I roll over, see Megan sleeping beside me, and the weight comes crashing back down. This isn't a marriage anymore. It's a truce. A long, quiet ceasefire between two people who once made promises they didn't know they'd break. And the worst part? I don't even have a good path forward. I feel stuck. Trapped in a loop I can't escape from. On one side, I have the choice to stay right where I am, sad, emotionally disconnected, going through the motions of a marriage that no longer brings me joy. Living a lie for the sake of our daughters, smiling through a broken heart so they never have to see the cracks. It's exhausting. It's lonely. But it keeps them whole, at least on the surface. On the other side? Divorce. And with it, the very real possibility of losing the thing I care about most, my kids. Because let's be honest, in the world we live in, dads who walk away rarely get to walk back in the same way. Courts don't always favor fathers. And even if I did get joint custody, there's no guarantee it wouldn't fracture their sense of home, of family. There's no way to split holidays and bedtimes and backyard giggles without something breaking. So I'm stuck between 2 bad options. Stay and be sad, or leave and risk being replaced. Be present but numb, or free but alone. And here's the kicker, I don't even know which one is more selfish. Am I staying because I love them more than myself? Or am I leaving the possibility of healing on the table because I'm too scared to cause them pain? I don't know. I really don't. All I know is that I'm doing my best. Every day, I show up. I pack lunches, I coach soccer, I braid hair, I read bedtime stories with voices and sound effects even when I feel like crying. I keep the peace with Megan. I protect our little world because I still believe they deserve a good childhood, even if it's built on a foundation I didn't choose. But it's hard. And I don't have answers. So if you've made it this far, thanks for reading. And if you've been through something like this, or have advice for someone who feels like they're living between two shadows, I'm all ears. Because right now, I could really use a light at the end of this tunnel. Thanks for your time. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more dramatic tales.